The National Newspaper Publishers Association represents 253 African American owned newspapers across the United States. We are the trusted voice of the community, reporting the news on freedom, justice, and equality. I'm Benjamin F. Chavis, Jr. On behalf of Events DC and the National Newspaper Publishers Association. Look, we're very honored to have in our presence the Honorable Angela Alsobrooks, Senator Alsobrooks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chavis. I'm excited to be here and really appreciate the chance to speak with you.
Well, look, we are equally excited because your election was not only a milestone for Maryland and a milestone for Black America, but for all Americans. And we appreciate your leadership in terms of job opportunities, employment, future work.
Yes.
You know, technology is changing the landscape.
Yep.
As a United States Senator, how do you see, from a public policy point of view, the importance of innovation and technology to increase workplace opportunities?
Well, you know what? If I can just step back even a bit, prior to my election to the Senate, I served as county executive in Prince George's County, Maryland, very close to here. Major county, one of the largest African American and wealthiest counties in the country. And I centered economic opportunity. So you mentioned jobs, but what I have really centered most of what I've done is on growing opportunity, which I think is so very important. And that opportunity, and I've worked on it in the Senate, includes things like access to capital for small businesses, innovation and technology is at the center also of what we've done. And you know why I think that? So I have a 20-year-old daughter who is a junior in college, and I learned from her friends how interested they. Oh my God. Well, thank you for that. Thank you so much. But what I learned from her friends is they are very interested in cryptocurrency. They're talking about artificial intelligence. They're talking about quantum computing. And this gave me the idea that I should lean into these areas. And in the Senate on the Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee, I worked to co-sponsor and to co-lead a piece of legislation called the Genius Act, which set up the first framework for digital assets in our country. And this was really important legislation, and is led by the young people who are innovative and who are really entrepreneurial. And they are the reason that I'm leaning into much of this, because I want our young people to be wealthy. I want us to use that word more often. We want to build wealth. We want to pass on generational wealth. And that is what I'm interested in.
The Genius Act.
The Genius Act. Yes.
That's great. And where is this legislation now in the Senate?
Well, you know what? It passed and was signed into law. And again, the first time we now have a regulatory framework to regulate this whole industry that is growing around the blockchain. I'm also on a group called the Market Structure Group that is now going to consider legislation for the rest of cryptocurrency. It's something that I think is new for a lot of people, but it's so important to our communities to be able to really embrace innovation, to be able to power our businesses, to be able to help us to do work not only here, but globally. But it's really just a way for us to develop more and more markets for us to be able to compete, to grow business, and to grow wealth.
Very good. You know, in some of our communities, they fear innovation. And I think of your leadership in the Senate now, you can help all Americans, particularly people in our communities, not to fear innovation, but to embrace it. And as you say, create economic opportunity. From your perspective, do you see the opportunities widening? You know, in some places, people are pulling back from diversity, pulling back from inclusiveness. But we think that, at least I think that, a democracy is strongest when it's participatory, economically as well as political. So share your view about the future How do you feel that these innovations, crypto and others, AI, can help people get on that pathway to wealth building?
Well, first of all, I want to address what you said. You're so correct in that people are, many of them are afraid of innovation, but we don't have to be. We're some of the most innovative people anywhere. We can look back at people. I was thinking when you were talking about Madam CJ Walker.
Yes.
Innovation is in our DNA.
She was a great
We have
character.
created, oh yes, we have created over the years. We think about Benjamin Banneker. We don't have to fear innovation because we have been innovative. And you ask what does it look like for us? Cryptocurrency, the blockchain, some of the ways that we can use it to really help launch business and to help us develop wealth. I think about the city of Baltimore that has used this innovation called the blockchain already. And guess what they've done with it? They are tracking vacant housing. They are working on this whole issue around closing the gap. There are a number of vacant homes in Baltimore City, and they have used the blockchain to help them track the number of vacant homes, and to really eliminate blight in these neighborhoods, which we know by extension, if you eliminate vacant housing, you are able to thereby increase the supply of housing. You not only attack the issue around affordable housing, but we know that home ownership is the way to create generational wealth. So these are just some of the ways that we can use innovation to help us to become more entrepreneurial, and to also to get into areas like housing that will help us to develop well.
It seems to me to be a good entrepreneur today, you have to have multiple skills, not just one skill. And from your work, even when you were at Prince George County, leading that county, which was a very significant county in the state of Maryland, what has been the response to this? Do you think people are eager to um, broaden their perspective on how to be a successful entrepreneur? I know I'm just going to use a hip hop term. A lot of young people think they don't need to go to school, just come stack their paper and invest, and will change how they're going to act later in life. But I think education is very important.
Oh, it is. And our kids are ready. You know what? Anyone who says they are not hasn't been listening to them. Again, the whole reason that I had never heard of a Bitcoin, I didn't know what any of this was until I started hearing my daughter's friends talk about their interest in it. They're reading all about it. When I think about artificial intelligence, quantum computing, I have to tell you, our kids are ready. And today, for example, I hosted a whole session around the ways that we can use technology and innovation to create entrepreneurship, and to create more Black businesses. We had standing room only. We had to open an overflow room, and there were so many young people who packed the room. So, and my advice to them is what I tell everybody in this challenging moment in our country is to get ready. These times won't last forever. My father reminded me that some of what we are seeing is really the vestiges of a dinosaur. We understand that some of this, the challenges that we're seeing will have to die. And when it does, because it will, because we're in a season, we have to be ready. And I want our young people to lean into their studies, to read and to become knowledgeable, to also be courageous, recognize that they're going to be called upon to grow businesses and to add to our communities. And I want them to be ready when that moment is here.
From a digital perspective, is there a particular website or websites that you would recommend young people to go to get some of this information that we've talked about?
Well, one of the things I heard today in our session that was so interesting to me is the best way to learn about artificial intelligence is to use it. You can actually go on Chat GPT and put in a search that says, talk to me more about artificial intelligence, or tell me the ways that I can use artificial intelligence to aid a business that I'm growing, or to help me with a business plan. So AI, believe it or not, is actually the way to learn and to become more knowledgeable about the best ways to use innovation and technology, to grow business and to grow well.
I'm smiling because I used AI knowing that I was going to interview you, and it said, "Be ready for a brilliant sister."
Oh my goodness. Did it say that?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. This is amazing. Well, thank you for the AI is here, and it is going to change the way that we do business. And it's going to also just grow opportunity for more and more people. So embracing it is important. And you know what? And not, as you mentioned, why should we fear it? When we know and have come from the most brilliant people on the planet Earth, We already know this. And so, this is exciting. And I want people to, again, be ready.
Since your election as United States Senator, what's been the response of the people of Maryland?
Well, you know what? The people of Maryland, I give great credit for electing me at a time where we saw, in this last election, we now elected 2 African American women for the first time in history. This is the first time we've ever had 2 Black women serving in the Senate at the same time.
Delaware and Maryland.
Delaware and Maryland. So Marylanders gave me so many opportunities. We have an amazing electorate there. They were able to look at my qualifications. I was a former prosecutor, started as a domestic violence lawyer, served there as county executive, where I created more jobs than any jurisdiction in the state of Maryland. But they looked at that kind of record and listened to me say that I am there interested in creating opportunity for every family, including ones like mine. I grew up in a working class family. My father was the most brilliant and is the most brilliant person I've ever met. He retired as a car salesman. My mother was a receptionist. But I want for every family what my family wanted for me: to be educated, to have the chance to grow and to own a home. That's what I'm working for every family. Marylanders saw it, and I'm really proud of Maryland. I can also tell you that I've been surprised also that I've been able to develop relationships inside the Senate with people who don't necessarily see the world the way I do. My father reminded me that how you see something depends on where you sit. So I've been able to work with people like Tim Scott on legislation to give tax breaks to hairstylists and barbers. Been able to work with Senator McCormick to try to gain access to capital for small and mid-sized businesses. So you have to be able to work with people. And I'm doing that, but it all started because Marylanders gave me a chance.
Well, it seems to me that Maryland is one of the states that represents the future of America, not just demographically, but the diversity, the sort of coming together. Because at the end of the day, it's not your party label. At the end of the day, it's what you do and what you accomplish and to what benefit it serves all of the people of your state and then of your jurisdiction. So one of the things I wanted to ask you before I let you go is, based on everything that you've accomplished in life, which is a lot, historic, what gives you your greatest hope today?
Well, my hope is, I have to tell you, it is planted in my faith. And I am a person of deep faith, and I have all the evidence to support my belief that God has not left us. And I believe it with everything I have. I have watched tough times before. As you mentioned, I was in a race where I had an opponent who spent $70 million of his own money. I am not a wealthy person, and I was able to compete and to win in elections where nobody thought it was possible. All these things I believe happen because the universe has a way of surrounding you and to making sure that things happen the way that they should if you have worked hard and done the right things. I believe still as well in our country. I believe that there are still good people in this country who believe in our country as it was intended, that we should all have equal opportunity under the law, that our children and grandchildren should be able to expect that the country will be as good as it's promised. And, and I know that in spite of what we see, I just refuse to be constrained by what I see today. That's why I keep saying, just get ready. We're going to be able to make it into the next season. And, I'm just still excited about what I think is possible. Again, I'm not delusional. These are some really challenging, horrible, ugly times. But we have seen tough times before. And, and I know that better days are coming.
Because of your faith, you remain optimistic.
I have. I have been so optimistic about it. And, I'm because of my faith.
Senator Angela Alsobrooks, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chavis, for having me today. Thank you.
I'm Benjamin F. Chavis Jr. On behalf of Events DC and the National Newspaper Publishers Association, we're very honored to have in our presence a Vice President of Amazon, Mamar Gelaye. So, welcome. How long have you been at Amazon?
Well, first of all, Dr. Chavis, it's such a pleasure to see you, and I really appreciate the work you've done for years. I've been with Amazon for almost 4 years, coming up in a couple of weeks, actually.
Great. Great. And, Vice President for Operations Technologies, that's a very wide scope. Tell us, what is the mission of Operation Technologies that you're in charge of?
Yeah. Well, as we all know, Amazon is a company that's built on technology. And so all of our fulfillment centers across the entire globe all run on technology. So my organization is responsible for the backbone of that technology, all the compute, all the devices, making sure that our customers are served in a speedy, timely, high quality manner.
So that requires some great education. So what are your degrees in?
Yeah, so I have been really fortunate. My father was a professor, so I grew up learning how to learn from my dad, and I went on to a mechanical engineering degree at the University of Tennessee, and then I did some master's work at Emory.
Oh, but what did your father teach?
My father's a scientist. He was a scientist, a researcher.
So you grew up being inquisitive.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes.
grew up learning how to not fear technology,
Correct.
but grasp it. Amazon is a global company, very large company. What would you say concisely is the mission of Amazon?
So, I mean, it's really quite simple. We are obsessed with our customers and meeting their needs. So whether it's our e-commerce business, our AWS compute business, our devices businesses, our entertainment businesses, it's all about customer obsession and really elevating the experience for our customers.
With your degree in mechanical engineering, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
That's not a lightweight degree. Um, how important it is for a company like Amazon to have a diverse workforce?
It's very important. I want to share some work with you that we're doing. So Amazon has been partnering with 3 historically Black colleges and universities, Howard, Hampton, and Tuskegee.
Yeah, I'm a Howard grad.
Okay. Well, so you'll be delighted to hear that 120 scholarships have been given to students. We work specifically with Howard to create a robotics and mechatronics curriculum. We've added 5 courses to their university's curriculum. We help them to identify professors that are experts in robotics and AI. So we're super committed to having a pipeline of talent that represents our customers, which is diverse and vast and inclusive.
As I listen to, diversity is good for business. Amazon owns also the Washington Post. I'm in the newspaper business, the black press. And I think that the intersection of corporate America with the First Amendment, some people have difficulty. I don't. Because to me, I think that the basic right is the right of expression. And whether it's in the newspaper, whether it's on TV, whether it's on radio, or whether it's at a corporate setting like Amazon, the right to express themselves, the right to learn, to search, to innovate, to grow. And so for that reason, I want to ask you this question from an Amazon perspective. Where do you see technology going? Some people say, well, technology is just going to supplant and take place. Nobody will have a job. It'll all be robotics. And I know you deal with robotics. How can people get over the fear of robotics?
I've been in technology my whole career and my whole life. And it's never been a more interesting or exciting time to be in technology because we're starting to see technology that really can improve the quality of life for humans. So I don't necessarily view that with fear or uncertainty or doubt. I view that as opportunity. So I'll give you some examples. So we are reskilling employees in our organization. We've been able to reskill 700,000 employees.
700,000.
700,000 employees. In addition to that, what we find is it's creating new kinds of jobs. So for the robots to be successful, they have to have repair, maintenance, and engineering talent. We need to have people that can help with amnesty, which is safety. We need to have people that can help with flow controls. Well, these roles tend to be higher compensation roles. So if we can, and I would encourage every company to invest in their employees and to make sure that they have higher skills so that in this new era that there are opportunities that are higher compensation, that create really phenomenal roles and opportunities for the future. So that's where we're focused. We're viewing it as opportunity.
And it seems to me this opportunity enhances the employee, but it also enhances the company in terms of productivity. That's a good lesson.
Yes, it
You
is.
know, I think that having success models that work and that you can refer to, you know, when I hear you say 700,000 employees have gone through some retraining, reskilling, and the company's investing in its workforce to benefit the workforce, but also
Yes.
it's going to improve the quality of life
Sure.
of the communities where these workers come from, where
That's
these employees come from.
That's right. And, you know, isn't that really what we want? Every generation wants to progress. And so this is really that opportunity. So I think, you know, the tendency to be cautious about these things, I understand that. That's kind of very human. But the other way to think about it is that we can be front runners in kind of designing our own adventure and our own experience. So, you know, we provide training. AWS has provided machine learning training that's available for free. And so I think as our certainly our young people, but also even experienced talent start to use these tools, they can actually bridge into some of these future opportunities.
So, how can people who are watching the show get more information about Amazon? Is there a core website or some links?
Yeah.
Where would people go to find out more information
We
about the opportunities at Amazon?
We post a lot of content on YouTube through Machine Learning University. Please visit Amazon.com. We provide a lot of events throughout the country. I mean, I just think it's really important, to your point, to be curious. That's one of actually our leadership principles, is to learn and be curious. And we encourage our employees to do that, but we'd also encourage all of our customers and others that are interested in the work that we're doing.
Well, that's great. I mean, it seems to me that you're offering opportunity and you're investing in the offering of opportunity, which I think is very important. We need more corporate social responsibility. And if Amazon can set a pace, an example, maybe other corporations in the United States would do the same. Which leads me to the whole issue, again, that we talked about briefly, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper. Education. There are studies that show that, particularly in the African American community, that if you don't pass the third grade reading test, the possibility and the potentiality that you won't make it through high school. I know in New York, they use the failure of the third grade reading test to determine how many juvenile prisons are going to be built. And the reason why I asked this question of you and Amazon is because y'all have the technology, you have the research. Reading is so vital. How does, it's my understanding now that AI is affecting ways and means that people to read better, to comprehend better, to acquire knowledge better. Can you comment on that?
So I need to share with you. I'm Ethiopian born, so I came from very meager experiences. You know, my family did not have a lot, but I did have access to libraries, and I did really reading was the doorway into the career that I currently have. I think it's really important that we support, K through 12 education. So we do a ton of work around that. Amazon does a lot within the school systems. both through our relationships through universities, but also directly with the school systems. We're huge proponents of education. And to your point, I think AI is creating new ways for us to reach more students and to create more support and more tools. So I think we're just scratching the surface of where this is going to help U.S. students participate in kind of this tech revolution. But, I wouldn't be here if not for, investment in education. And I think you're absolutely right that it's never been more important than now.
Well, I want to encourage you to write your book, From Ethiopia to the Coffee Sweets in America.
Oh, I thank you. And if I did that, it would be published on Amazon.
Oh. Absolutely. Well, I think a lot of people would buy it.
Thank you, sir.
We need real life stories of success. Be very honest, I think our society focuses too much exclusively on failure, exclusively on hardship, exclusively on the difficulties of life, and not enough on the opportunities. That doesn't mean that you don't pay attention to all the things that are going on. Yes, but to me, there's an imbalance. There's not enough good news or news about life success stories that could serve as an example for other young people.
That's right. That's right. And, just to build on that, I mean, you could look at me and think I've had the happy path, the frictionless path from the villages of Ethiopia to corporate Amazon. I have not. I've had a lot of friction, a lot of difficulty, a lot of trials and tribulations. But what I would say, and this is what restores my confidence, is that we are an indomitable, enduring, resilient people. And I think that, this is a moment where we're going to be challenged, we're going to learn and grow and be curious, but I'm going to bet on us.
Great. Well, I have a little science background. Friction is not necessarily something bad.
That's right.
It's how you use the friction.
That's right.
As well as the functionality of the friction. And certainly Amazon is giving you an opportunity to show the positive outcome of friction.
That's right.
That could be the title of your book.
You're helping me. Thank you.
So, but look, I'm very serious because I know your time is valuable. Tell me, from an Amazon perspective, what are the top 3 mission objectives that Amazon wants to secure, implement, perform over the next 5-10 years?
Well, as you know, Amazon is an extremely diverse company with a lot of missions. But I think the through line across our missions are our leadership principles. Our leadership principles, it starts and ends with our customers. We're very committed to being Earth's best employer for our employees and our social responsibility in the world. And certainly all that comes with a through line of excellence. We insist on the highest standard in everything that we do. So if you were to force me to say 3 of the many that we're doing, I would say those are the 3 things that are super important for us.
Very good. I always ask this question at the end.
Sure.
From your perspective as one of the vice presidents of Amazon, one of the most powerful, successful companies in the world, what today gives you your greatest hope?
So many things, but I would say people. It has always been, it will always be people. I get to work with some of the most talented people in the world, and they are both good and great at what they do. And so that just re-inspires me. We have one of our interns with us today. The future is bright, and it continues and it endures. That would be what I would say.
So you're also optimistic.
I am.
Do you go back to visit your family in Ethiopia?
I absolutely do.
I'm sure they're very proud of your success.
I'm very proud of them. Thank you so much for this kind time with you.
Well, thank you. It was a learning experience.
Thank you.
So I'm going to have to go deal with some friction.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.